All right, let's get started. So, starting from today, we want to cover spatial database, specifically DuckDB. And so, for the last 9 weeks, we have finished Google sending. You're welcome to check out the notebooks. If you need to do it, we haven't had time to cover all the topics, but all the notebooks are there. And so today, I want to cover DuckDB. You will see here in the past, I actually taught PostGIS. And as I mentioned, I've only started using DuckDB for a week, and it's absolutely fantastic. It's so much easier to use, and it also makes it so much easier to teach because you can just post a notebook, you can just run it on Google Colab without having to install anything on your computer. And personally, now I use it every day. So Google Science is great for doing raster data processing in the cloud. DuckDB is more like for vector data, tabular data, and it's so powerful, it's so fast. Right now, we're going to cover the basics, but hopefully you'll be able to use it in your daily workflow. And so here, right now we have a couple notebooks. I will add more over the next couple weeks. Right now, just like some of the things that the basic things I already put in there, but there will be more notebooks. And so for today, we're gonna just go through how to set it up, how to install the packages, how to install the software, and then you can just try out other notebooks. So essentially, it's a database they can use to run SQL query. So SQL stands for what? Structured query language. Like it's so widely used in all the tech company or even like UT or all the universities. All your stuff pretty much stored in the database. And so SQL is very, very useful. If you're very good at it, you can find a job and then make more money than any faculty in the department. Okay. And so for today, we're just going to go through a very basic one. What is DuckDB? What is spatial database? And how to get started. And it should be pretty brief. So here are some of the description here and some links. You're welcome to check that out. So database basically is a database that allows you to store data, update data, delete, insert in a database. And spatial database means that you can store some spatial information in there. So you can think about this database just like, think about like shred file. Although it looks like just a regular file, but under the hood, it looks like you can import the data into a database using different data format, and then you'll be able to query data. Kind of like when you use ArcGIS or QGIS, you open a shred file, and then you open the attribute table, and then you select by attribute, select by location, for example. And then, for example, the name equal to something or the location next to something, and then you state it out. We can do all this using the database and just one line of code, one command, and then you should be able to do it. So here, DuckDB, it has a funny name. I don't know why they call DuckDB, but it's the official definition is called in-process SQL OLAP database management system. And it says designed to be embedded database in applications. It's kind of a very abstract, it's hard to understand, but essentially for the traditional database, you need to have a server, and then you have a client, and the client need to talk to the server, and then you send the data back and forth. In process means that there's no server. Everything is just in the memory. You can just directly deal with that. There's no back and forth. So everything is within basically the same environment. So fast, there's no overhead of like sending data back and forth. Especially if you're doing with large amount of data, in process is very, very useful. And the other thing is that it can handle data larger than your memory. So your computer memory may be 16 gigabyte. This can handle tens of gigabyte data without any problem. And you can, it's very powerful. You will, at the end, like, and over the next couple of weeks, we introduce how to like deal with like hundreds of gigabyte of data. Even if your computer doesn't have enough memory, it's designed to be able to handle those data. So I forgot to mention, so DuckDB store the data by column. Traditional database store data by row. So by column means that all the data in the memory or in the hard drive is next to each other. So this makes it so powerful because if you think about here, if you have a vector data set You're trying to open and you're trying to, let's say, the US states, like population for each state. You're trying to calculate the total population for the entire US, right? So in this case, you just need that column. You don't need other information because you're just calculating the information for that column. So DuckDB is especially useful for these use cases because you're dealing with column, not dealing by row. And it's so fast because you only need a subset of the data. And then you need to do, you can do aggregation, you can do some simple statistics. We'll go through those examples in the future. Second one is called OLAP, Online Analytical Processing. Basically, Microsoft has that definition, is to organize large data set that support complex analysis. So this is why DuckDB is especially good for doing analytical stuff. But here are some of the key features. If you want to go through that why do we use DuckDB? So from the past week from my experiences using that, those key features are all very nice. And it's something that you can use in your daily workflow. Compared to PostGIS, you need to set up and then you need to have the software. You cannot just do things in the browser. But this one, just a browser, that's it. You don't need to actually set things up on a computer if you don't want to. And it's simple and portable. Like in process, serverless means there's no server that need to have a server to host the database. It's just on your computer, it's in process. And it's so powerful, also has API. You can use Python, R, JavaScript, or Java, Julia, whatever language you want, and it runs across platform. So it's very easy to set up and super fast. You can analyze, it's vectorized, means it's like column. This is called columnar database, means store data by column. And if you just need data for specific column to do analysis, it's good for that. And you can handle parallel processing, especially for CSV, JSON, and Parquet. We're going to talk about Parquet later in this course. So we have so-called GeoParquet. Store data in the cloud. You can query it interactively and can get just a small portion of data. Even if the file is like 100 gigabytes, you can still query the data very efficiently using DuckDB. Feature rich and also free and also extensible. There are tons of new features. So for DuckDB doing Geospatial right now is still like not very mature, but there's already tons of functionality available. And I'm so excited about this because now you can just run things using Google Colab or whatever Jupyter Notebook environment. You can do a lot of geospatial stuff. So here, give you a kind of a comparison. Why do you want to use DuckDB and when to not use DuckDB? So if you're dealing with tabular data, especially CSV, JSON or Parquet or some vector data, you can easily import the data into the database very easily, just one line of code. And you can do analysis, you can do join, you can do aggregate. There are tons of functionality in here. And you can also export it, data out if needed. When you don't want to use DuckDB, so DuckDB is a single file. So the database is just a single file on your computer. And then you can just connect to it. If you're working in an enterprise environment that people need to, multiple people are reading the same database, this is not a good user case right now. But I think it's good to get started and learn this one, and later you can easily transfer to other database because the syntax are pretty much similar. But this is especially has a very does not have a steep learning curve because it's so easy to use and you can just spin up and then just create the database. You can put data in, you can run it, and it's just a single file. You can copy the file somewhere else, and so it's great for this kind of user case. But if you have large data set, you need to like, for example, you're developing a shopping transaction system that you need to insert rows like all the time. It's not good. It has not designed for that. You can basically import large amount of data all at once, but if you need to do it all the time by row, it's not good. It's usually by column, so it's especially efficient for doing column adding data. And so again here, for me, from my experience, it's like feels like fresh air in the database space. So think about in the past, you have to install the software on a computer and then all the files are distributed. So there's not a single like database file on computer. You don't really know where it's hosted. You need to do the backup, you need to do all kind of stuff. So it's so challenging for new users. So most of people like learn it and then really don't really have the opportunity to utilize that. But this one definitely is useful and so easy. So here, I can show you this is how I feel when I start using that. it's really fresh air because it's very different from the traditional database, and you feel so good and then so relaxed and then just this is nice. And I hope that after you learn this, you will feel that because it's gonna so much more efficient if you deal with vector data. We're gonna go through a lot of examples and also teach you how to deal with data in the cloud. So again, try with it. It also has a spatial extension. We covered it in the next, probably later next week or later this week. So next, let's go get started. Like how to actually use it. Like it's database. Like everyone has heard about database, but probably you have created something using ArcGIS geodatabase. That's it, right? Have you used PostGIS? Right? No, everyone. Because it's not easy to get started because there's a lot of steps you need to set it up. But this one, you can set it up, you can get it running within 5 seconds. Open a browser and then just type in. So here, you can go to the website. It's just DuckDB.org and just click the installation. So here, DuckDB is super nice because it runs on all kind of environment. It also has the API. You can also have command line. So if you don't want to use programming languages, you can just use the command line. The simple exe. So here, for this course, we're going to use two ways. The command line and also the Python. And I'm going to show you how to get started. So all we need to do is simply select, click on it, download this one to your computer. And then you can just open using, or go to your, for example, downloads directory. Okay. And so if you're using Mac, it's pretty much similar. It's just a simple executable. Then you can just unzip it, okay, or you can just open it. See here, right? Do you see this one? DuckDB.exe. Very simple, and the file is pretty small. See this one? 23 megabyte. It's super tiny. If you install like PostGIS, it's gigabyte data. This one is very compact and small. So all you need to just simply right click, copy, and then I recommend just put that in your C drive. Then under maybe Windows, just pasting here. You can create a new directory if you want, but usually you don't have to. I'm just going to paste this one under this Windows because it's under the system path. So in that way, your computer can find this executable. Otherwise, you won't be able to use it. You need to add the environment variable. So if you want, follow the instruction here. I show you how to add the environment variable on Windows. I'm going to save some time, so just do for simplification, just copy it to the Windows. That's it. And then now this one is more like it's already installed on your computer. Then we can open the terminal to start using it. So let's go back to the downloads directory, right click, and then open in terminal. You can try it out, see whether it's successful or not. Okay. So because when you type, for example, DuckDB, the command line is going to look into your system path. So the Windows, C drive Windows, that one is the system path. So you should be able to find it. Just type DuckDB. You see that? Does it work? Just type DuckDB. You should be able to find this one. If it shows any error message, that means it cannot find the program. Just type DuckDB. So that's the program. You're going to type DuckDB.exe. The same thing. It should be able to find this one. Can you? Yeah. Work? Yeah. You see, it just works. There's no installation. There's nothing. It's portable, executable, and this is. So this is what we're going to use. This is where DuckDB is about. But we can also install Python packages. For now, you can just type, for example, what else? In here, let me show you. We haven't really tried anything yet, but right now this is just a simple executable. And so here, if you want, you can copy this line. For example, select star from DuckDB extensions, or you can type anything to it. It won't break it, okay? Because by default, it creates an in-memory database. So you just type this one, you should be able to see this. Do you see something? You can just type select star from DuckDB extensions, parentheses, and then semicolon. You should be able to see the output. So this just shows you some of the extension, kind of like ArcGIS. You open ArcGIS and then go to check see what the extension available. DuckDB is extensible, so you can do a lot of things. Don't worry if you cannot catch up. We're gonna do this many more times, but for now, just showing you the program is up and running. That's it. So if you see the D here, that means right now it's within the program. You can press Control. If you press Control C, if something is running for a long time, you can press Control C to stop it. So now you can activate. So now it's no longer in the database. It's outside. Okay, and this is using the command line. We used it from time to time. The second way is using the Python. So let me go back to here. This is where you can create a new conda environment. So we have covered this in the past. Or you can just, if you already have an existing conda environment, you just copy this one, pip install, and then DuckDB. One thing we need to pay attention is, if you want to use conda first, the package name is called Python-DuckDB. It's not called DuckDB, okay? So there's a slight name difference. But other than that, other stuff are pretty much the same. You're also going to install the Zupi SQL. This is the one we use if you want to use notebook. You need to run the SQL language in notebook. You need to install this one. And we're also going to use the leaf map later for downloading data and also do the mapping. And also the DuckDB engine is to connect to the database. Trust me, it's super easy. So all you need is create an environment and just copy. And then you can, for example, here, to save time, I already created. So conda.env list. I already created a conda environment. So all I need is just to conda activate, right? So I create one called Geo. I recommend you create a new one rather than install to a previous one because some of the packages might be outdated. So create a new conda environment and then install Mamba and then just follow the steps in here to install the package. So right now I'm going to install conda activate Geo. Okay. Control L. So once it's in there, I can just pip list. You should be able to see the DuckDB within the conda environment. So I'm going to scroll up. So right now the latest version is 0.9.1. So this is the latest version right now. So after it's installed, then you can just type, for example, here, Python. Okay. So I'm going to get into the Python terminal. And once you're in there, I can just type import DuckDB. You see, it's in there. And if you want, you can also check the, for example, the DuckDB version, right? DuckDB __ version. So you can just DuckDB dot _ 0.9.1. So that means it's working. It's already up and running. So there are two ways. So make sure that you have both, right? You can have the command line. Sometimes we use the command line. Sometimes we use the Python. But they're the same. So you're connecting to the same database engine. And so we're not going to use the terminal to write code because it's not that efficient. You want to use the IDE. So most of the time we're going to use Visual Studio Code to do the coding because you have all the auto completion stuff. So here I'm going to show you how you can do that. And so one thing you can do is to clone our course directory. So everything will be within here, the repo. And then I can open using, for example, Visual Studio Code. So right click, open. So you have access to all the Jupyter notebooks we're going to use throughout the semester. And so one thing I would like to you to set up is to create the shortcut. Because in Jupyter notebook, when you're running the code, we have Shift Enter, Control Enter, and also Alt Enter to create new code blocks. But in this case, so here, right? Imagine this is the if you go to the DuckDB directory, right? We have all the notebook in here. So within Visual Studio Code, one thing you can do is to create SQL a file that you can write SQL language. So you can right click here, new file, and so for running SQL query, we can create a file with the file extension .sql. So I'm going to type, for example, test.sql, right? .sql. But it's a basically plain text. You can just write using a plain text file if you want to. But if you use .sql, you will have more features available for you within Visual Studio Code. So here, right now, you see it's nothing in there right now. But you can do the same thing. I can just For example, just start typing, select, you see, it's kind of auto, you already have all the features. So just create an empty file and then you can start writing code. So select, and then I can start, okay, from DuckDB extensions, okay, EXTENSLN, and also keep in mind, so for SQL language, you always want to put a semicolon at the end. So that means it's ending. If you don't put that, you want to have trouble, having issues. So right now, control save, control S to save this one. And if you want to run this one, earlier we're using terminal to run this line of code. But if you're within Visual Studio Code, you want to open the terminal. So I'm gonna come to here, and then from here, terminal. Okay. So click the terminal. Click this one. So right now we are already in the environment. We don't need it. I can contact deactivate. Okay. And then Control L. Okay. So here, if you want to run the SQL, the DuckDB, we're gonna open this one and just type DuckDB here. Type DuckDB in the terminal. That means right now we are already inside the DuckDB database engine. And then from here, now you can start executing this line of code. And so in order to do that, we need to set a shortcut. So this is something you want to try it out. So Control-Shift-P, Control-Shift-P, and then just type open keyboard shortcut. Again, everything should be available on the documentation here. If you forget it, you can come up to here. So Control-Shift-P, and then just type open keyboard shortcut JSON. So if you come here, Control-Shift-P, and then just type open. It's there. It's my first one. Probably I used it before. So just open keyboard shortcut and then parentheses JSON. If you open it, you will see this one. It's empty. So right now there's nothing in there. Just the square brackets. Okay, and then you can come here. Just copy this code block. So that means we're gonna set a keyboard shortcut. Right now it doesn't work here. So what we can do is copy this one, and then come back to here. Okay, and then put it within the square brackets. You can hit enter to create a new one, and then just Control S, then Control S again, Control V, Control S. So what this one is doing is to set a keyboard shortcut. So later we can just run Shift Control Enter to run the code. You can set it to other keyboard shortcut if you want to, but I don't recommend using the Shift Enter or Control Enter or Alt Enter because those are the Jupyter Notebook keyboard shortcut. Okay. So after this is done, then we can come back to here. Now, if your cursor is within this line, right? It's just Control Shift Enter. Or DuckDB extensions. So there's a typo here. DB tips. Oh, by the way, so SQL language is case insensitive. So you can type lowercase or uppercase. But usually for the reserved keyword, we want to use uppercase. For the functions and other stuff, we use lowercase. But again, it's case insensitive. So let's run this one again. Control Shift Enter. See? So right now we are running this one within VS Code. So from now on, you can start running all kind of stuff in here. You can just continue to write SQL language, and you can just Control Shift Enter, select the line, it will execute it. So here, but you cannot, if you want to exit, stop it, just Control C, you will come up, and then you can clear the output. Okay. So again, if you want to basically start from now on, if you want to do DuckDB, this is the workflow. Okay. Open Visual Studio Code, create a notebook, or you can create. If you are doing notebook, then we don't need to activate the terminal. But if you're using DocSQL, just the file in here, then you need to activate this one. Otherwise, if you just go here, Control Shift Enter, it's going to show you like blah blah expression expected after blah blah. Basically, it doesn't work because right now you're not within the database engine yet. So what you need to do is just type DuckDB, hit enter. Then now we are inside the DuckDB, and then here you can execute the code. Okay, so here I can just type Shift Control Enter. Make sense? So there are two ways. Either using the terminal. So this is basically using the terminal. Yes. Yes. So make a comma is just control slash. So if you type control slash, you automatically make a comma. So it's the same like other languages. So for SQL language, a comment is 2 hyphens at the beginning, and then everything after that will be comment out. So you can just type control slash, comment or uncomment. You can also do multiple lines. So multiple line is like backslash star. We cover that next time. So it's actually on the second one here, SQL basic. If we go to the end, SQL comments, you're gonna see here one single line comments or multiple lines. We cover next time. But for now, this is what you can do. So this is the first way of running SQL query. Basically, run type code. So create an SQL file, and then you can just start running whatever thing you want. So you can copy an example, SQL examples from the file. So let me quickly show you here. If I go to the DuckDB website and you go to documentation, and from here, for example, data, maybe the guys, okay, overview, and data import. Right now we don't have any CSV file yet, but we go to here, development, not development, SQL, for example, introduction, right? So here, you will see a bunch of stuff. You can copy any code you like. So I'm going to just copy here, and then come back to this one. Kind of like you learn Google Engine. Once you get started, create a notebook, and then you can copy code, and then you can start running. So here, I can just copy this one. Again, make sure that you have this semicolon at the end. Otherwise, for example, if I remove it and then select this all, Control Shift Enter. At the end, you see here, there's no result output. It's waiting for you. In this case, you need to type a semicolon at the end here in order to run it. Now you see the D, that means it's done. It's going back to this one. So always remember, if this multi-line code block at the end, make sure you have semicolon. Otherwise, it's not ending. So that's why it's not working. So again here, if I try to run this again, probably it doesn't allow you. Oops. Here. So Control Shift Enter. You say the table already exists, so it doesn't allow you to do that. It's normal. We cover more next time. Okay, so this is how you can run code. The next one is doing like Jupyter Notebook. We cover that in the next lecture. So lastly, I want to show you the other one is that how do you actually have an IDE? So Visual Studio Code is doing coding, but you cannot actually see the database. Sometimes you have some tables in the database. You might want to like visualize that, see what's in there. So there's another program. So if you scroll down to the end, it's called DBeaver. Okay, again, funny name. But it's free, open source. So you can right click, open it here, and you can just simply download this one. So DBeaver community. Okay, download this one. It should be pretty simple and easy to use. Here I'm gonna click Windows and save. So this one can be useful sometimes if you just want to see what's inside the database. You are lazy, you don't want to do coding. This is more like having the interface allows you to do that. So after you finish downloading, just open it, install it, and then you should be able to create or connect to the database to see the data table. So let me show you here, install. You can just use all the default and automate SQL if you want to. It should be pretty easy and straightforward to use. We might use this from time to time, just to show you how to what's the table inside, and then you can see basically the tabular data directly without having to run query. But this is not just for DuckDB. This can connect to all kind of database. So it's an open database. The software that can connect to a variety of database. So let me click this one. Okay, it's done. Then I can just DBeaver. Okay, and you can open it. It works on Windows, Linux, and Mac, so you can try either one on your operating system. So once it is open, then we can like search DuckDB and you can create a database and then you can start doing all kind of things. So first time might be a little bit slow, just be patient. And once it's done, then you can use it. We might use it from time to time, but not always. Most of the time we'll be running Jupyter Notebook and also SQL file, that's it. Okay, just click allow access. That lot of things to digest. It should be, if you do it multiple times, it should be pretty easy. Okay, do you want to create a sample database? Maybe yes. And then don't send. Okay. So here, pretty much, this is the interface. If you want, just double click. It should like download the sample database. So what we want here is to create a sample DuckDB database. So let me click here, upper right, upper left corner. You click this one, it's gonna show you the like create the database, and then you can just search DuckDB. You see there are lots of other stuff in here. So I'm going to create DuckDB, and then next. So here, if you want, you can create a new database. You can choose where you want to save it, right? So for example, I'm going to go to my C drive somewhere here. Where is it? Okay, so I'm going to save, maybe create a database under my C drive directory, downloads directory right here. I can choose whatever name you like. I'm going to say maybe just test and save. Okay, so I'm going to save this database to there. You can have the file extension DB if you want to. Okay, and then just click. Oh, it's already finished. Okay, and then if for first time you're using it, you need to download the driver. So just click download. That's it, and pretty much it's done. So now we have this software allow us to connect to the database. So you see here, this is pretty small right now. Like the test database right now, there's no table, there's nothing in there. The nice thing about this is it allows you to create, for example, SQL language. So you can also run SQL language in querying here. So here, right click the database, SQL editor, and then new SQL script, for example, right? So this is the same thing then earlier when we using Visual Studio Code, we create the SQL file and then write the language. So we can do the same thing here, right? Select star from DuckDB extensions, XTSI, right? Parentheses, and then semicolon. Here you can use Control Enter. You see, it's execute, it's showing the result in here. Really nice. So this is where you can run the query. You can also see the result, kind of similar in Visual Studio Code. And for example, this is the query written like a table, right? I can actually create a table directly in the database. So here I can do create table, and maybe just the name of the table, txt extensions, ace. Okay. Again, you don't have to understand this one right now. I'm just showing you quickly like what you can do with it. We do a whole lot more like this. So now just like Control Enter. You see, it's done, and then finish. So here I can come to the table. Not this one. Will refresh. Sometimes I might need to refresh. So I'm here. I'm going to go here, refresh, and then the main table. You see, extension. If I double click, now I have this file. You can see the data. So what I'm doing is basically one line of code. I create the table because the output return is like a table. Again, we cover a lot more in the next lecture, and it's super fun. You can get data in very easily. You can get data out also very easily, and you can do all kind of analysis. So this is especially useful if you're dealing with vector data. Again, so Visual Studio Code, DBeaver if you want to, and most of the time we're just using Visual Studio Code and the terminal, or we just use notebook directly. So make sure you practice, get this set up. If there are any issues, let me know. So this should be pretty straightforward. Visual Studio Code, you already know how to use it. DBeaver is just to create a database. You can see it, you can visualize existing database. And like I said, everything is just a single file. So if you go to, for example, the database that we just created here, right? Test.db, that's it. There's nothing else. This is a temporary file created when you are accessing the database. But what you need to do is copy this one, send somewhere else. People can open it, and there's no other like file. It's not distributed somewhere else. Okay, so we are up and running, and starting from next lecture, we start doing like SQL, how to do that. This is a very like short lecture, but again, if any questions, let me know, and I'll see you in the next lecture. So